Orders for your, obviously your references. I don't listen to it, so that way I can actually get to the rest of your media and kind of leaf through it that way. I'm only going to go through your total media for about 2 hours. So that 2 hours, I will see what I see. Obviously, if I will label something as evidence, I will always give you a link to be able to verify the information. Again, I told you I'm not here to make anything up. In the event that it's a first and singular clue only to that location, I will always give you links so that way you can continue the investigation and find more wrapped around that specific clue. So, first piece of tools we're going to be using, thermal imaging. So you guys should be able to see me in there. So red, orange, and yellow guy. So this is the real deal. This is what firemen use to actually help save people. Why would I want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? Why are we using this?
Temperature changes.
How so?
It's colder when there's smoke.
Exactly. We're looking for cold spots, literally. The old adage, right? So the red, orange, and yellow, me, that means I'm not a ghost. Also means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture, ladies. So the wife keeps begging me to get rid of that line, but it works every time, keeps you guys attentive. But we're literally looking for blue and black to either start moving on their own or to start taking shape. So again, does this capture something every single night? Not necessarily, but when we do, it's a holy cow moment. I'm just going to put that out there. So again, this is a fantastic tool to have. We are going to be recording most of the night. We'll do a few starts and stops. There's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. Can you guys see that guy moving around a little bit? Basically what that's doing is it's giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. It's helping to direct your eye for when you guys are rewatching this video on where the coldest spot might actually be. I normally look for a 15-degree difference or more. So with that said, just because Eric hasn't said a word yet either, I don't like the commentators on these videos. So you're going to hold this guy right-handed so that way you can actually see the screen. And the camera's always going to stay on your left. I will give you the cue for starts and stops. We are recording right now, just so you know. He's like, yeah, let me just get this thing. I will give you the cue for those starts and stops just because if we record for too long, the software for it sucks. We'll lose footage, and I don't want to do that for you guys. I want to get as much as I possibly can. Let's break into spirit boxes. Everybody always wants to use a spirit box. Spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. How cool is that, right? We're going to be using multiple types of spirit boxes tonight. Spirit boxes, this one, you guys watch all the TV shows, right? Like you've obviously explained, yeah, she's the first one up. So basically this is your white noise that you guys would get on your TV shows, and then your host will throw the BS that he thinks he heard in the middle of it, trying to convince you of the same thing. Yeah, that's what this guy is. Only we're going to be doing this in real time. These are also, we're going to be using a different method at the same time as well. So it's not going to be just white noise. With all the history I'm going to give you and all of the white noise, somebody's going to fall asleep. So we're going to actually use the method where we slow it down and allow the radio chatter to come through. So if song lyrics, DJs, commercials come through in that very fast sweep that you're going to be listening to, it's a 50-50 shot. We can tie it to the location, a person in history was discussing, or even something going on with one of you guys. So again, Jackson's going to be the only one to hear this in real time because he's going to have an earbud in. You're also, you kind of got that like, oh man, what is that kind of, really? So with that said, this one is recording. You will get this full recording back. I keep a little notebook on me, so whatever he hears in real time, I'll be writing it down, plus my spot check in the morning to kind of see where things line up and maybe things that he may have missed as he gets used to how to listen to this guy. So I don't want earbuds back because your earwax is gross, dude. You get to keep that. Your volume button is right here, so it's a wheel at the top, so you get to control the volume as much as you want. It's all the way down right now. You just have to undo this twist side for your button.
So do you want him yelling out when he hears?
Most of the night.
Okay.
Usually when I'm going through a piece of history, I kind of ask, like, because there's going to be a lot of spirit boxes that not everybody starts shouting their things out at me. With that said, I bounce around a lot, like, hey, Jackson, what are you hearing? Cindy, what are you hearing? And I'll kind of piece it all together. So, Cindy, you're also going to get one of those.
Okay.
So, yours will not record, though. So I'm going to be relying on you, on whatever you hear in real time, to be able to write it down. Just so you know.
Write it down?
Yeah, so I can put it in your notes tomorrow so everybody can see it.
But I got to get the glasses out.
No. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to listen. I'm writing it down.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm doing the work.
Good here.
So this is why I look for the chatty Cathys. First thing, and why have you guys get here early. So, because you're going to probably give me the most out of this guy, just so you know. Again, twist eye on your earbud. I don't want it in the back. Volume wheel is a wheel, so it's next to the power button. So there's a button there and then a wheel.
So this, whatever I hear on here, not necessarily everybody else is going to hear, right?
Nobody's going to hear what you're
But
hearing.
me.
Right. Just you. So they are not synced up at all. So Jackson's, even though he has the same device, is not synced up to what yours is doing because they were started at different times.
But why doesn't this one record?
because I didn't put an SD card in that one, and I didn't want to give you 4 hours of white noise with chatterbox in there.
Okay.
Because again, trust me, the 2 hours is going to be plenty. Alright, the next spirit box. This one we don't actually have to listen to. What I like about this one is it's going to put a word in the center of the screen from time to time, right? Kind of like an ovulus of what you guys see on TV. This one has 36,000 terms in its dictionary. Your ovuluses that you see on TV only have 2,000. This has 18 times the amount. However, this is a phone app, and it's designed to try to scare people and kind of think of it as a college kid drinking game. I like this guy because it gives us the timestamps next to each specific phrase. 80% of what comes out of this thing is going to be absolute garbage. It's the other 5 to 20% that will be so specific to our location, it will be undeniable, and we usually tie to something else being heard on another spirit box. So, with that said, Teresa, this one's going to go to you.
Okay. I have to be able to read the screen on other boxes.
It's okay. I'm going to check in with you because I don't want to see every word anyway. Otherwise, we're going to be out here until like 4 in the morning.
Right.
So I will come to you when I want to see the list.
Gotcha.
Sorry, that one camera being out of my loop is kind of throwing me off. Alright. This crazy spirit box. This one works completely different. I have left. So, this one is going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations at the same time and attempt to take out the white noise that Cindy and Jackson are hearing. So, Bergen, the only thing you need to worry about is it's going to be open air. You're not going to have an earbud. That doesn't work that way with the noise canceling. So, with that said, this is the top where the lights are blinking. On the right-hand side is a mute button. At certain areas, I'm going to say, let's go ahead and get that guy muted, so that way we're not disturbing horses, neighbors, that kind of thing. Right now, it is on mute, but it's the only button on the right-hand side. So just kind of get a feel for where that button's at.
Unmuted.
What's that one here with?
Where's the volume?
Making sure I got names right. Brooke, right?
Brooke.
Brooke. Look at me go. You're going to be double-fisted.
I did? Oh,
So
gosh.
you guys have seen these guys on TV, right?
Okay.
Little EMF blinkies. So I use this one to debunk a lot of things. So in a nutshell, we look at the rhythms and patterns that come out of this guy to kind of see if it's something from a man-made object. Parking meters, buildings, wiring, that kind of thing. And the other thing you're going to have is basically a simple digital camera. There's no flash on it. I did turn it off so we don't have any false positives coming back at us.
Okay.
So what's kind of cool about this ordeal is that we're going to be using lasers along with this as well.
Okay.
So we're going, normally the other camera would be like that particular laser piece, but this is the way I used to do it, and I still get, pretty decent results out of it. But again, you could be the tourist with this and take pretty pictures all night long. If things get too dark, don't worry about it. I lighten them up to see what's going on in each picture.
Okay.
So take hundreds and hundreds of photographs. Those both go to you. You don't need to do anything with the blinky lights. Just tell me what colors that you see, and then I already have the measurements memorized, so that way I can kind of see what's going on.
So I just take pictures. Are you going to tell me when to start taking pictures? Or
You can take pictures all night long.
Okay, perfect. I
All
like
night
to
long.
take pictures. You're good at
You
taking
have freedom.
pictures.
Kelly, you look like you're pretty technical, like you know what's going on here, so I'm going to be giving you the multi-purpose device. So basically this is a millimeter. Have you ever seen one of these before? Okay, so basically it's an EMF meter as well, but it's digital. Hers only goes to 25. Yours has gone over 200. So it's a little bit more accurate. I still use it to kind of debunk a lot of things too, but anything above 2.5 on your top numbers, I'm going to know what's going on because that would be Brooke's second green light. The bottom number is ambient temperature. In the event that Eric finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly or prove it pretty quickly with this little yellow probe right here at the top.
Okay.
The last thing it has is it has a motion sensor built into it. In the event that something gets close to that antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it. I am now. So you and I are going to talk more about that motion sensor at another location just because there's a lot more that goes into that. But for now, just focus on your red numbers. You guys are going to kind of need that for your spirit boxes anyway. So. Andy. This is the neuralizer from Men in Black. Nobody's going to remember anything.
Wait till the end.
I know, right? We're
She has
recording
no
everything.
clue what you're talking about.
Probably not. Say that.
Lasers. So you're going to keep Nick out of trouble tonight because Nick, these things can get Nick in a lot of trouble. Nick is me, by the way. So these are lasers, and the reason why we're using lasers is because you can't see the lasers from the pen to the ground until something passes through it. So Brooke over there is going to be taking tons and tons of pictures through
Oh,
the
please
lasers.
see me like.
Yes. So we're going to be using 2 different styles of lasers. This one is going to give us red squares. In the event something actually passes through here, obviously we're going to have the still shot that I would normally have from a regular video camera, but we're going to have the still shot so I can put it in 3D software and give you guys the full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So, have I caught anything where the software will take it yet? No, but they were just a little bit too blurry for that software to be able to take it and tell me what was actually going on there. You're going to be using both of these, but you're going to always keep them on the ground. This one actually has a little dot right there. You see the little silver dot? You have to hold that one on, but you always want to make sure that the laser's on the top of your toe, so that way you can kind of keep them in control. This one has a toggle switch, so once you turn it on, it stays on. You have to be very careful not to go too far. Make sure you turn it off before you kind of move your hands around. So again, both of those are going to go to you. All right, did I cover everybody? I think so. Perfect. All right, Jackson's in charge. Go have fun. No, don't, seriously, don't go anywhere.
Is my camera still on?
All right, so your shoot button that you use to take pictures, the power button is right next to it. You got it. Yeah, it's going to start off with no activity.
Right,
We're
okay.
setting the timer. All right, so welcome to Big John's, or as Cindy likes to call it, Bug John's. So, she sent me a text earlier, and obviously the autocorrect didn't pick up on it. So, Big John's, actually, there's a reason why we start here, of course. It's not because people like to throw things and slam the drums. It's because this place is haunted. Of course it is. That's why we start here. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name is Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a building, I will always do my best to slow down on specific keywords for the number of spirit boxes in play tonight. So, this one would be 47 New York Giants, anything relatable to a bar, and the name John, obviously. So, but anyway, here's what actually went on here, why the place is haunted. John used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. Well, one night 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So John has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, he goes to the front and he starts beating the heck out of these guys, pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck and the bullet lands behind him into the wall. John gets up after being the only one that's been shot, by the way, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. So, the irony of the story is that normally if I tell you there's a haunted building, you all went to a straight tragedy of some kind of massive death that occurred here. There's no death in that story that I just told you. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole that's allegedly still here. When I say allegedly, that only means that the new renovation of Big John's possibly may have filled it in. That doesn't mean that Big John's blood is not still in the wall. People that sit in the front of this building tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. So people that have come to went to dinner there before meeting with me often give me tales of, I had this great steak and I couldn't finish it because I got nauseous. It's common there. It's because of the paranormal activity that's going on inside the building. That was kind of repeated warning. I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect any of you. Granted, we're going to find some. Again, I can't make sure the ghosts are going to do anything for us. But if anybody feels a headache, nauseous, or dizziness,
I was going to say, for that, like, if we get chills or anything like that, we should speak up, right?
always. So with feelings like of just chills and maybe hair standing up, like obviously might be something, might just be your adrenaline pumping. It's that passing out feeling. It's that nausea, I'm going to puke feeling. Those are the types of things where we need to move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair to everybody?
Yep.
All right, so that's probably the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long because it deals with your own health, just so you guys know.
Let
Have
me
you guys
know.
been taking other Charleston history tours at all? No?
Just the
Wow.
prison.
All right, I'm honored. But, so the reason I ask is I kind of like to know a base level of how much history do you know to see if I'm going to be lying to you all night. No, I'm just kidding. Same building.
What
We had
are
a big
they
earthquake here in 1886, so it's a big deal for us because we're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. The white mantle you see in the and allegedly lie with that one because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. Yay! All right, so before we move on, 2 of you have cameras tonight, so kind of fair warning, we're going to into spaces where there might be parked cars or people passing through. You're a tourist, it's going to be a lot easier to hide, like taking normal pictures, but people don't like to be filmed, and they definitely don't like their cars to be filmed, Eric. So if I do like an Andy's coming, just pretend like you're playing on a cell phone.
Okay.
The other one is much bigger, so it's like you got to point it straight at the ground. Like it's a whole big ordeal contraption that I made. But I say we go ghost hunting. What do you think? Are you in charge? He's like, awesome, let's do it. See how I tricked him into answering that? So, welcome to the Big Red Barn Lunch. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. So, you can't hear us because there is no glass in those windows, just so you guys know. So, notice that my voice dropped a little bit, and that's another reason why we use earbuds with the spirit boxes now. So, the history here is really simple, just so we can talk about your devices more before we deep dive into much further history of the football players and phones, right? So, history here is really simple. 1860s to 1920s, this is the same red barn that held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So we've already kind of talked about keywords and specific things that I will slow down on. Spirit boxes, but we're going to get into those first, just because I brought up more keywords. Delivery, milk, eggs, and anything relatable to a state. What do you have on this thing? So that is actually relevant to across the street, which is where we're going. Perfect. So we already know that we're on our way. Perfect. So with that said, spirit boxes, everybody wants to ask the same question whenever they get a communication device. What do you think that question is? Think of a Ouija board?
Anybody here?
Is anybody here? Yes. So if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So we will not be asking yes and no questions all night. We are going after specifics, even if you're a skeptic, which I don't want to know if you are. You are here to have some fun and actually see a little bit of paranormal for yourself. You're not going to get it out of yeses and no answers. So in a space like this, with people that have probably never used a spirit box before, I kind of give the example of you want to ask questions you already know the answers to when you're first getting used to a spirit box. Questions like, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are looking and listening for the color red. But the rest of you, aside from Teresa, are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to be able to give us a correct answer. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. Good with that. However, most of the night, I'm going to actually require that there's two happenings going on to be able to verify what's going on. Another example. Let's say Teresa's word list has the word art on it. Probably doesn't right now, but let's say it does. It doesn't mean anything in this location. Bergen actually hears the number 40 on his. That doesn't mean anything by itself either, but if you put the two of them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You see where I'm going with this? How we're going to be putting clues together and why I like to use so many devices all at once? So again, a lot of these people have the same names. Charles's and George's. We're talking colonial times as we go through the nights, just so you know. Cameras. Actually, we only have one in play tonight, so perfect. Eric, the only thing I need you to focus on two things for us. And I told you earlier not to film people, but I definitely want you to keep one of us in one of you at all times.
Okay.
The reason for that is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. It's going to give us that array of color. Much easier to find those cold spots when we have a hot spot already here. Now, we should all be 97 to 99 degrees. If Bergen goes to 101 and over, let me know. I'll kick him off the tour so he can go feel better. So he's like, yes, perfect. So with your camera too, go ahead and hit that red square because your temperatures are probably a little bit off right now. So hit the red square and you're back to what we would normally see. Did your temperatures change?
Not really.
Okay. Maybe it was already calibrated.
They're like 85 to 87.
Yeah, that's about right. What were you seeing before?
Well, when I first got it, it was like 91 or
Yeah,
something
so-
like that. Now it's 90.
Okay. So I just like to do a little quick calibration of it just to make sure, you know, it's giving us accurate temperatures. It sits in my bag, you know, for most of the day. But I think that's the only other camera. So, Kelly, I got to work with you on yours at the next space. Are you hearing something back there, Jackson?
Country and rap, that's all.
Country and rap, like the terms or the styles of music?
No, just
Music. Oh. So it's not about, like, who you're hearing, it's about what you're hearing. So if Harry Styles comes on, I don't care that you heard Harry Styles. I want to know that you heard as it was. Does that make sense? So again, every person tells me that they heard Harry Styles, because apparently I was the only person in America who had no idea who the hell Harry Styles was up until last week. Yes.
How do I tell if it's up or down?
I don't know if mine.
Oh, it's up, down.
It's all the way up.
Does yours
So
have
you know-
volume?
Wow.
There you go. I just turned it down.
Is there like a volume button on this one that I can?
No. The only thing you're going to be worried about is the mute button, because the noise canceling and the volume have to be matched, so that way it works well.
Okay. So you just want me to keep it unmuted for now?
Unmuted until we get to the next page. So can I take a look at your word list real quick before we take off? I'm going to take the whole thing from you. Hideousness. So definitely not us. Okay, so far we definitely have Eliza. Let's go talk about Eliza. Any questions? Yes.
I have an SLS. Kind of come off that.
Everybody. Those two? Yeah. I think it is. By all means.
Okay.
So, if you get anything from it, you got to hand it over. So everybody can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, do you have is it the updated one that actually records, or is it?
I believe so. Yeah. Unless the free one doesn't.
I'm not sure if it records more than like 5 minutes without home. So you can try it.
Yeah.
By all means, please.
Get some radio
And I
stations in
want to,
there.
like, if any of you are unfamiliar with an SLS, that's the stick figure camera. So basically, GhostTube is an app that kind of picks up on those things. You guys have seen them on your TV shows as the big, giant, honking camera. Go ahead, if you want to see how it gives me a stick figure to play around.
It's kind of dark.
It's got a hey,
Yep.
Hey,
something out of it.
Sound
I'm not going to write it down. To me, that's a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
And if it says hello along one of your guys' devices tonight, I usually want a name to go along with that. So, or unless you guys were saying hello first. All right. But yeah, as far as, you guys want to take pictures with your own phones, by all means, I encourage that stuff. And, I'm not one of those like, oh, you can't do this, can't do that. The only thing I'm really strict about is EP's lasers. So again, that's and the camera, obviously, that Eric's using, because we don't want to get anybody freaking out. But yeah, Eliza is awaiting. Let's go talk to her. Let's head over this way.
oh, seriously? Did you miss it because you were looking down? Yeah.
Watch that.
This is going to be a good night. Kelly, did you get any readings on your device over there?
0.3.
Yeah, that's garbage. So we are thinking that you got blue lights.
Yeah.
Wow. Starting already. So, go ahead and mute that for me. I'm going to go into a small explanation before I get into the history here, because we're already starting to see some things going on. I want to make sure everybody kind of has a good gist on what's actually going to be happening around us. So, as far as the phrases and terms that you guys are going to hear tonight, your spirit boxes are slowed down. It is a great possibility when things start to come through that we only need one or two words out of that specific phrase. For example, what color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. We don't need Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. We just need red. However, Bergen over here, he heard the term blue light. We're going to see why that's relevant here in just a minute. So, where the heck are we? Welcome to a parking lot. You made it. Congratulations. So, this place used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. Actually, it's faced East Bay Street, broad, all the way across. We basically standing where Eliza's garden was, because it started over on this side and went all the way across. And in the back of the space where the servant slave quarters were from the home. So, who the heck were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. See why we look for those secondary clues now? That's 3 different Charleses in case you lost count. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal for us South Carolinians, but I hate politics more than everybody here. We're going to move on. We are going to be discussing Eliza. Let's see if she's going to give us more, which she already is. Eliza married Charles at a young age. If you're going to ask Eliza how old she was when she got married, it is not from the colonial times, like the standard of ages. You're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. Think today's standards. So if you're going to ask her, expect those kind of numbers, not 12 and 14. But she married Charles because her father, over in England, thought he was dying. And he was trying to get all the children home so that we could see them one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married for a green card at this time because we're not even a country yet. She did marry Charles out of love, but also to prove to her father that she was staying put. She was correct. Her father did not die right away, and instead he starts sending her gifts to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. If you guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of, you've seen the term indigo somewhere, I promise you. What the heck is indigo? It's a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. She experimented with it here. You all see why the blue light is professional now? So again, she had to experiment with it because she didn't know what to do with the seeds. She learned from her slaves how to keep it cultivated because it's not always hot here. And then when she figured it out, she moves it to another plantation, calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman in the middle of colonial times that helped get our country started. So that's her business. That's the boring stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why everybody's here. So, the number of questions you can ask. So as I'm kind of going through these, pick a set and see what you want to go with. Obviously, the marriage question is a big one. So if you can ask her how old she was when she got married, you might get the number that Charles was. Again, the reason I bring that up is because Charles was over double her age. It was a big age gap back in colonial times. It would be considered a big age gap now. The mansion's not here anymore.
3-5.
3-1-5? Right now that's the actual bar. So we're going to go above anything above 3-1-5. Keep estimating it, so I'm not writing a million numbers down. The mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it and what year that happened, and hopefully you get the full date. That's occurred at sometimes too. Month, day, and year. The children. I told you it was
6-5.
9, 3, 5, and 6. I'm breaking down the part again. These pieces I can never use there. So, where was it? The children. There's more than just Charles. I already gave you one who's the signer of the Constitution. You can ask how many children she had and what their names were. But that's it. Don't poke the bear on this one. There's a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including the EMF readings that we're getting. Just so you guys know. Last but not least, Eliza's death. Ask anything you want to. How old she was, where she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Like, these are all very specific questions. Now there are, there's a large party of 5 and a party of 3. Feel free to intermingle your devices amongst your party. I want you guys to try out different things and get used to different things if Eric's willing to give up that camera. I don't think he will, but it's like I might be. But again, it kind of gives you guys a little bit of diversity on what's going on with all these different devices. For those of you with hanging earbuds, share the other one with somebody in your party. As far as the lasers go, keep them off the vehicles, no pressure. They will set off car alarms. I don't like to run, but it's not fun. So definitely the two of you are going to be working together. I am going to show Kelly more about his device before we do anything else. But we are actually fortunate tonight that there's only 3 vehicles in here. We actually have a lot of space to work with. So we are going to spend about 10 minutes in here based on the activity that's going on. With the name Eliza already showing up in blue light, like it's going to be a very interesting space that's going on. Do you have anything before everybody spreads out?
There was another name, Naomi.
Yeah, I got nothing on that.
Right now.
Okay. There's a little white box next to your words in the center of the screen. If you tap that, it'll show you all the words that we have so far. The other one. To the right. So you always want to circle back to get back to your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You got it. And then you'll be able to scroll through it.
We all are.
YouTube specifically.
Yeah, that's true. I put the laser and take a picture.
Alright, so definitely get that thing cranking. Bergen, definitely get yours unmuted. Nice slow movements out of you, Eric, so the slower, the better it's going to be, so it'll be the perfect videographer. I'm going to work with Kelly first. Definitely crank yours up, and I'll be with you in just a moment, because I want to be breaking down everything you hear.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
as you walk, this thing's going to pick up your motions and all your, mobility. So it's going to go up. There's a way to kind of counter false positive. Then if you get, like, say you get a blue, obviously you stop, you do a quick release, and it goes back to blue. Obviously there's something going on. You can also ask for specific colors. Eliza, show me color. You can do those kind of things. Obviously you do it twice to verify the
Tell her to ask him. Said her thing flashed to yellow.
My thing was flashing up to yellow over here.
Okay. Yeah. I want to just kind of go through. Take a look at lasers. So the lasers, and they're not always going to be available at speeds. But in a nutshell, they're going to come with this little ground. So basically, when you're taking pictures, I don't want you to take a picture down. Let me know where you're going.
Okay.
You want to basically be back. Because I'm looking for motion between here and the ground.
Okay.
That way, when something does kind of go through it, so we'll be able to kind of set more. Yeah, you gotta be very careful with those.
Yeah, because I was like this,
Yeah.
and it went up to yellow.
Okay. So you're about 15 more now. So again, you're a little bit fine.
Okay.
But this location, just like I told Kelly, like they've never done it.
Okay. Okay, so the red, what's with the red laser?
Well, say you got it. Well, just because it stays on.
Like seeing black spots. You want to ask a question?
I forget what to ask.
Like, I've been asking you, how many kids did you have? Like, where are we at? Where'd you live?
Where are you buried at? What year did you die?
It sounds different once you get something. What year did you die?
Got it. Okay. Let's go back up here.
What do you got? I've got. You're your device, just so you know, normally only gives me about 10 to 12 terms a night, but they're normally about 75% accurate, just like blue light walking in here. So again, were you close to Eric at all
I was just talking to him and asking.
when that happened, when the blue light occurred?
No, we were literally just walking up and down.
Okay, because yours doesn't record, but he has audio. So in the event like you two stick together and you miss something because you couldn't understand it because you guys were talking or I was talking to you, at least you'll have it on the recording of the thermal imaging video and try to listen back to it later, see if it actually made out.
This says audio. I burped like 10 minutes ago.
I don't listen to the audio unless he hears something direct. So I always keep that on mute. What's funny is because I would normally like point out the skeptic and then give them that camera so I can listen to their commentary later. I got to stop doing that because people say some nasty stuff, man. Like they really do. So I just stopped listening to audio altogether unless it's a spirit box. So
And I kind of just hang back and record.
Yep, that's it. If you find something
People?
cool in there, come find me.
What am I really looking for, though?
Blue spots. So if you're looking for, how to get this, I'll show you some examples. Let's see. Easy to show because I already posted on Facebook.
Ask her what president was at her funeral.
There you go. Okay, pallbearer.
Yeah.
What president was the pallbearer?
So this is actually at this location right here. Flip so you can see it. So obviously this is the front up here where the gate is. There's our 4 or 5 people working there. You're going to see 3 figures kind of grow behind them. Let's see if I can pause it on view. It's going to start to grow behind them. You see? Of course, the stupid words are in them right now. Sorry. Facebook is not always friendly. Right about there.
That blue dot right there.
There's 3 heads in there, 3 sets of shoulders.
Okay.
It all made sense, and it will once I
So
tell
it's
you all
like
the answers.
dark blue, not teal blue.
It could be either way.
Everything's teal.
The cameraman that was using it that night didn't keep it on that area long enough for me to see what was going to become the coldest spot in the frame.
Okay.
Because he didn't realize what was going on. That's why I say nice, slow movements. So the slower
And
you
this-
are, the better off.
That little bullseye will probably go to where it's at, right?
It normally
This
would,
one?
but if you keep the sky out of view, because there's no surface on the sky, so that's the easiest way to keep it out of, like right now, it's going above like where that warehouse is,
Okay. Yeah.
because that's you got the sky in view. So again, the easiest thing to do is to point it a little bit angled down like what you have it, but try to keep a person in view.
Okay.
But yeah, that blue dot should go to the coldest spot every single time.
Yeah.
She just heard household drawing. I don't know if that was just. But I don't know that I'm hearing anything. I don't think I'm picking him up.
Oh no.
What were your children's names?
You can tell when it's something different. I feel like I heard something when I asked the name.
Buy a Kia today. Like I want to know that you were buy a Kia today. So again, you're listening for those song lyrics and some emotions and images. Any kind of words you can make out of it will help.
Eh,
What are those? Like the
look for like
diamond things?
look for the blue. That's just like car windshields.
It makes sense. Okay. Because I guess I'm trying to pull things out. Okay. I'm probably over to that shoe gardening. Okay. 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 Okay.
Put that in and listen with me. Brooke heard household of 9. I think I just heard Charles. Eliza, what is your father's name? Eliza, when did you die? What age were you when you died?
It's yellow again.
How many children did you have, Eliza?
Who was the president at your funeral? Let's go this way.
Who was the president that was a pallbearer at your funeral?
What year did you die?
What does the color indigo mean? Did I hear it's not going to behave?
How old were you when you died?
How old were you when you had your first child?
No, I don't think so.
Who are you talking to?
He asked me if I had anything going on.
Oh.
You getting anything, Cindy? Doing one more last round robin. You got anything?
We thought what did we think we heard? It's not gonna, something about
It's
not
gonna
gonna
be
behave
easy.
or something.
Oh yeah, it's not gonna behave.
Not going to be good.
I don't know what that means.
You heard Bergen's name? Yeah. No, I heard it.
All right, let's pull everybody over back to the side. You're probably getting a little bit of readings up there because of the electrical pole.
Oh, yeah.
It's still going crazy.
What do you got now? You're
Blue,
leaving.
staying blue, now it's resetting.
You go back to it?
Let you touch this. Touch it again.
Ask for a specific color.
Take it to go to purple. That's the end of it. Take it to go to purple.
Yeah, but when you're walking, it's different. Red. That's it. What color is the big red ball? All right, Eric, bring it in. I'm going to give some answers out. It's going to go through this. We've got a little bit of first-ended clues that we'll need verified. Obviously, some of them are very specific, like the name Eliza showing up over there. Go ahead and kill that camera. Hit that red square and kind of give your hand. Thanks for your recording, Eric. I appreciate that. This is an interesting space. First off, that last crosswalk that we came over, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So that means we're standing on one of the very first streets we ever had in Charleston. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. So again, I like to kind of give you the layout of the land a little bit. But this location is very interesting because I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. So the names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. Do I have anything else significant about Benjamin and John? I do not. The weird thing about this whole scenario is that I get those same names every 6 to 7 weeks. Anybody want to take a guess why I get those names every 6 to 7 weeks? Wait for Kelly to jump in. It seems like you can most of them. No? So, we're standing on Belgian blocks. These are made of granite. We're not supposed to have a D&M charge. In a nutshell, any stone that comes straight from the earth, like said granite, is supposed to hang on to the consciousness and memories, replaying them over and over again in a loop. We call that the stone teeth theory. So basically, we're standing on the stones that are hanging on to the consciousness of these memories that actually occurred here. I don't get much out of it. However, I'm going to tell you about the word symbols real quick, but we're going to start with Kelly's device. Kelly, pick a break and put the device on it. Like, just set it down. You don't need to turn the REM on. I just want to see if you get any numbers out of it at all. Normally, we would not be able to get anything above a 1.1 out of this location because that's a natural EMF from the earth. Last night, we actually watched it grow to 14.9, the highest reading I've ever gotten out of this location. And I was not expecting anybody to hear the name Benjamin and John tonight because we are in week 4 or 5 of that 6 to 7 week long week. So again, but I never know what's going to happen. And when I say people live down here, I know Benjamin and John sound like very common names, but that's 2 out of 5 people that live down here. There's only 5 people that live here in 1801. And how do I know it's these specific people? John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. His name is John Johnson. So we'll get Ben, John, Johnson, all at the same night. Now here's the interesting thing about symbols. This word symbol shows up here all the time too, not just on your spirit box, but on others. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley, hence the word symbols. The Freemasons are definitely known for all of their symbolism and the things they created and the mystery around them. So the Freemasons, we will get terms like symbols, but we'll also get the term Illuminati that will show up on your red spirit boxes that you're listening to from time to time. My question to you is, first off, who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Because that's where it's coming from. It's not normally a radio topic. The other thing is, why am I only getting it in this space? I only have the word symbols to show up on your spirit box in this space. Weird. I'm hearing voices. Is anybody else hearing this? So what was the highest spike that you had?
I think it averaged about 4-1 was the highest.
4-1. Alright, go ahead. You can pick it up. We're probably not going to get anything else higher than that. 4-1 is good. It's just not as impressive as the 14.9 that I got last night. So, do I stall on this alley? I do on purpose because, again, this isn't normally a space where we actually get to ask questions because it's just not a loop. And last thing, we also had two names show up that I don't normally get for Christopher Thomas. The weird thing about that is in 1802, Christopher Thomas. That's down. So it's like, okay, people realizing I've been coming here for 3 years and they can finally want to come talk to me. Who knows? I never know. This is an odd space to be. If we go to our next location, it is another alley, but I cannot take you all the way through it. I've been kicked out. That's the fun part of the story. Cindy, your ears perked right up when I said it, and I got myself in trouble. It is considered residential at the end, but I am going to tell you how I got kicked out of the space once we get there. So we are going to move to the next space of this alley. As far as EMFs, we're still kind of out of the game for a little bit until we get out of that area. And we were not going to film anything here as we exit the alley. So once you get to the end, go ahead and cut it off. You know, we're recording neighborhoods, and then I'll kind of position your one camera when we get to the other alleys so we can get some footage of that as well. Spirit boxes, I definitely want you to see some more. I am very excited about the symbol showing up here for the second time in the past month. We'll just say that. And we'll see what comes up after the spirit boxes from spot checking when I go through them in the morning. Have you gotten anything since we've been here? Have you been focused on me? I thought so. So I'm hoping he actually, and he's just missing things. You're going to see my spot checks, like I'm going to pick up a lot of things. And you're like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to put this in that. Haven't told me. So you're going to see a lot of that. And obviously we had you on mute. You can unmute it until we get out of the alley. We're going to be walking past the hotel, so you don't get me reading for too long. All right, let's go up to this thing now. Let's see what we've got here.
They look like something was standing by Evie back there. Yeah. I think it might have just been her.
But that's part of the perks. So, yeah, to me this is still like very intimate. I know everybody's name. You guys know who I am. Did I screw anybody's name up? Am I being good so far? All right, perfect. So, the alley behind me is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Dueler's Alley. So, Dueler's Alley, like take duels, take 10 paces, turn and shoot. So we all tell the story of one specific duel because it actually occurred. I told this story a lot differently because obviously you're ghost hunting. You guys need different details than the normal campfire ghost story. So let's get into that. Did anybody hear anything or see anything before we actually get rolling out?
I just heard this side.
Makes sense because we're on this side of the alley. So, yeah. Those are the kinds of folks that kicked me out of there. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. You'll see me kind of pause when I see folks like that and kind of look over my shoulder a little bit. They know my face. So, doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. The doctor moves down here to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her money. And as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody is walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. Now I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because, again, you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something. The initials RI show up here all the time, but it has double meaning. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. RI shows up here a lot. I just need the secondary clue so we know who it belongs to. But Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside. I know him. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. I have some friends at 59 Church Street where you can, rent a room and you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he starts to make, proving the point that he wasn't just after Amanda's money, which means also Amanda's moving down soon. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time. Now, for those of you that like to travel, every haunted city you ever go to will have a cliched whistling ghost. I am going to guarantee it, just so you guys know, but I do have proof of this specific one. Let's continue on. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. It's just how things are rolling. On the way home from seeing William III one night, him and Ralph start arguing over the new actress that was here in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic, Ralph not so much. It gets even uglier when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. So they go their separate ways, pretty angry at each other. Ralph, being from here, goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Dr. Ladd sees this ad and he rebuttals with, "We're going to go to Dueler's Alley. Let's settle this once and for all," meaning somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots his one shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. So, be careful with the camera, people. You're looking at a cell phone at that point. Again, people get a little weird about being filmed. So where was I? Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So Dr. Ladd doesn't die either. He drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So the ghost story of the campfire part of this is as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. That's why they call it the Whistling Doctor. So I want you to keep in mind, if you do go down there without me, because obviously I can't take you down there, keep in mind, everybody in town knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street from the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We are going to end up there. My garage is right there, which means I have to pass the alley. And I do it every single night. If you turn on your voice recorders, it will be really faint. Just so you know, it's not going to be a very loud, just like I whistled in the voice recorder. It's not going to be that loud. It's going to be very faint in the background, and it is a very quiet area. Even in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, you can't really hear much while you're over there. So let's talk about why I can't take you down there. This alley didn't always come all the way through. So that means that the bricks on the other side are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes in those bricks on the other side. Now, I'm sure you've already picked up that I'm all about the history. Without the history, there is no evidence. So, not that I'm looking for anything out of it, but it is another part of our history that I would love to show guests, just to show how far we've come. You're in Charleston. Slavery was a big thing here. So, you're not going to get anything out of those bricks because I treat them the same way you do a grave. That kid is not staring at that poor brick in the afterlife. There's no reason they could try to get any activity. However, on November 26th of 2020, yes, I remember the date specifically, and you're going to realize why, my group decided that they're going to huddle around that brick and put an EMF meter near it to try to get a spirit box recording, something along those lines. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. We weren't supposed to be there. We're not allowed to go there, so I played the dummy card and we moved on. But my daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. So, yeah. The next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour because I worked in retail for over 20 years and I finally had a Thanksgiving off. Yes, I worked for Walmart. Can you all have guessed that? Managing over 400 employees. But the next day was November 28th. This is the date you need to remember. I get a phone call from the tourism office. They asked me to either reroute my tour or only go down halfway like everybody else. That's as far as we're allowed to go because it's just this half that we're allowed to go through. I decided it's not fair for my 10 people to try to work around 20 to 60 other people, other tours, trying to investigate. So I'm going to tell the story out here and reroute. I tell my team that night, I don't believe in this story that we're about to go through, but let's see what happens. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating a certain female pirate. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. We were going to be discussing Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. When we get up there and I told them what little bit I did know about Anne Bonny, somebody else hears the number 300. I did not know what the number 300 meant until I started researching the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720, the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. So I've been taking you guys up there night after night after night in hopes that we actually capture more data about this woman. It is a hit or miss location. Worst case scenario for this spot. Now, I'm considering the Pinckney Mansion site. It's about an average of what I normally see. You guys haven't told me anything about what you're seeing or things here. We did get a little spike, so again, it's been kind of an average night. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to capture quite a bit of activity out of Anne Bonny at the last stop. Now, again, it's hit or miss, but I do read a lot about pirates after that first night. And I was like, man, I'm a vampire guy. Why do I got to read about pirates? So I've read dozens of books, and everything I'm pieced together for you is based off of at least 2 resources or more. Just so you know, because we're dealing with pirate lore, I try to capture as much truth out of it as I possibly could. So let's head up to the next spot. We might have to pick our space because it looks like it's a little busier for, what is today, Tuesday? Like, yeah, it's Tuesday night. It looks like we have a couple of tours running around, so we'll see what's actually going on. The last stop is a full effect, so lasers will be in gear, like we'll be full on recording, but I'm going to give you the full history of Anne Bonny and what we're going to be looking for while we're there. If we've seen or heard anything before we leave, you guys got.
Does the name Caroline mean anything?
I don't know, but I'm going to write. Oh, you don't have to write it down because you got it on your script.
Yeah, add Caroline.
Okay, I'm going to find out. Jackson, nothing. Damn. And you're on mute.
Yeah.
Cindy, what do you got? Nothing. You were listening to me. Okay. Very interesting. All right, let's head up to the next spot. Let's talk about some crazy pirates.
Record on or off right now?
Completely up to you moving forward.
Okay.
It should be good.
They talked about her at the other one.
Where's your laser gun?
Yeah. Live here. There's a bunch of tours going around. It's crazy. Bro. Porta shitter.
Crazy Wild River story. All right, what are we seeing? What are we hearing? Anything right? Okay. This is here. The spirit box in this location. That's pretty well for us. Cindy? Nothing. I'm gonna have to train you. I'm gonna be on the phone with her all the time now. I forget what. Let's see, Jackson. Got louder and static. Louder and static. Diablo? Really? Like the devil's coming? Okay. Very interesting. So we're gonna be first discussing. We get a lot of activity out of this location, and again, it's hit or miss. We're either gonna have a lot or nothing at all. So kind of expect that mentality. The little tiny building over there, that's the powder magazine. I'd like to point out that those are not crosses on the building, those are earthquake bolts. We talked about the great earthquake of 1886 earlier. Earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. If we have another one, like we haven't, by the way, you can turn those and it'll straighten the building back up again. That's the whole reason why they're there. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I point these out is because those are the oldest, the first set of earthquake bolts that we put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. This is the gunpowder magazine. It served in 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. When we talk about this building, and we're here because this building is what I call a familiar. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child boost. This is the same time period that Anne Bonny actually spent time in Charleston. So that's exactly why we're here. But we did talk about those Charlestown walls going into Rabbit Lodge Alley. That garage over there, that's where the wall stood. It went up Cumberland Street and started going south once it got past the powder magazine towards the battery. So that way it locked the gunpowder into the gunpowder, there's sand underneath the roof that's supposed to blow up with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. You got another powder magazine closer to the battery, you got to hit sand in the air, building burn in the ground. It just doesn't exist. This one is just, it's a museum now, and it's never been obviously hit by a cannon. So, this building took 10 years to build, just so you guys know. A small government building, does that sound like us? 10 years? Yeah, something like that. But our story actually begins right in the middle of it. So kind of follow me, there's a lot of twists. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. You can already see who she is, right? She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a couple of twists. Okay, so the three of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she that she got to get on a boat and get away from your country? Just saying. They land in Georgetown, which is just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charleston to sell anything from the plantation to keep things going. Now, young Anne, back home in Ireland, was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old. Like, Anne was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So, we're going to fast forward. Just, yeah, put that mentality in the back of your brain and just tell the whole story. Now, fast forward, the building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1714. Anne's going to fall in love very quickly because that's what Anne does. So, the first guy she falls in love with, yes, I'm going to keep that. His name is James Bonney. You can already see who he's going to be, right? Dad doesn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, the most famous female pirate of old name. James Bonney is not the Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham. We're going to call him Calico Jack. This is the same Jack person that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character on, just so everybody knows. Now, Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. You cannot put a girl on a pirate crew. Why? Because girls are bad luck on a pirate ship. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you're part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. Most of us are adults here, we can put two and two together, being a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. We'll have a baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has a baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happens to the child, but she's dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while, she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. And Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like guys on the same ship. Her and this young lady, whose name is Mary Reed, become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain. And the British find out where they are. They send all of their ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come off the flight. Because they have their one-bullet flintlocks. They can take down a whole fleet of ships. They know how to use the cannon ships. But obviously they're going to get captured with this whole fleet of ships. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog being obviously a prominent thing in your spirit boxes. The judge, his name is Nick as well, he wants to see the 2 men by themselves. He wants to figure out what's going on. Calico Jack and the drunken pirates are dead and gone. They're already hung. The 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. But Dad is still here in the Charleston area with his Irish money. He bails Anne out, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, we do not know much about her life after her pirate career. As far as Mary Reed goes, she did die in that jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. You can use your own imagination. Now, I'm not going to give you a plethora of questions like what we did over there at the Peak Division site because you all know what you're doing with your spirit boxes by now. You haven't had much out of Cindy's. She's still getting used to it, but that's okay. Things are going to come through loud and clear for her here, I'm hoping. But the 2 questions I left out on purpose are the names of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress, and the name of Calico Jack's ship. So, I told you guys at the beginning of this tour about the heat of morning. I'm going to steal you guys for 1 more minute before we start to spread out. I know, I'm going on and on and on, and it's getting late. I see the yawn. See that yawn. I told you people have passed out on my tour. Back in September of last year, I brought my tour back here, about 8 to 10 people. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost. I mean, literally white as a ghost. I had to pick him up by his armpit. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side of the room, carry him over to that brick wall, which is where I'm going to be heading after I spread you guys out. And we get feeling better. that night I did not have to call the paramedics or EMTs, which I have had to do in the past. So that's why we put that heated warning at the beginning of every single tour, just so you guys know. As far as cameras go, you can go to the front. That includes lasers. You would have to exit the lot. There's obviously a car way over there. You're going to make a left. You can see the powder magazine on the left-hand side. You can point your cameras right inside the gate, try to get us some footage, point them lasers down on the ground, see if we can get any motion caught on there. Just stay out of the way of the other tours. Spirit boxes, you're welcome to go up there as well, but we're going to hand it over here. We're going to know within like the first 5 to 7 minutes if there's actually activity going on tonight. As far as your device, Kelly, I want you to ask specifically the color of Anne Bonnie's hair and see if you get an answer on your rep pod. So you're not going to see a whole lot of numbers on your K2 meter either, Miss Brooke. If you do get anything, it's going to be probably out of the corners. That's because of the electrical poles. So if you get anything back this way, I'm excited. I want to know what's going on. Yeah, up there. We're going to give it back to the sidewalk because that's where it's coming from. The same thing with yours, Kelly. It's all about the colors, not the numbers for yours on your device. The spirit boxes, let's get those things loud and proud. I'm going to head over towards the wall. Do you even have your lasers still?
I have.
I know you had one. Okay, I got you. I just noticed she was empty-handed. I was like, I know you have at least one. All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's see what we got going on. Eric, you've been like the most serious videographer I've ever had.
I love it.
You probably need to come with me. I'll have the camera.
You just said something. What was the name of the ship you were on?
No, they can't.
You said you got audio on that, right?
I wasn't very close to you though.
What was the name of the ship you were on?
The word pirate, plain as day, came out.
Well, I asked what ship they were on, and something came up, and I just missed it. It was,
couldn't make it out?
Yeah. But it sounded different than the radio static. So.
Okay. So yours is very hard to differentiate if it's a disembodied voice versus radio chatter. Now they're listening, I want them listening to radio chatter. Yours is kind of like...
Yeah, I can tell when it's something different than radio chatter.
It sounds different.
Yeah. Like it sounds like somebody's actually talking to you.
Anything crazy going on there? Your camera does like to act up in this location, by the way. You'll see white lines that aren't supposed to be there. They'll like kind of come across like old TV static. Like it's trying to find a signal on a channel.
It's kind of doing that to the windows and stuff in the background of the...
Oh, it'll do it to the whole screen.
I thought when we were in the alley, there might have been something beside Evie.
Okay.
It was just, I don't know, it was weird.
So what is the relationship between everybody? I figured out that Evie...
It's my wife.
Okay.
My daughter, my son.
Okay.
That's my mom.
Gotcha.
And then we
She's
go out front.
she's the one that's
Thank you.
she's the one that's really big into it.
That's why I was hoping she'd hear more.
I know.
I was really hoping. That is a very active device. And she's just missing things. It's okay. She's going to have another recording.
Yeah. Eric, you walk out here with us. It is hard. Down the gate. It's like, walking closer, and I felt like I was
Mom.
hearing something I couldn't make it out. It's hard.
I knew she wouldn't be able to get it.
There's a guy laying here sleeping.
Are we allowed to go out this way?
I thought he said to go out and we can look in the gate, just watch for other tours.
So we can go look in the day. Wait.
Sure.
Make sure.
Oh. Sacramento. I also don't know what I'm looking for.
It's hard to make it out. Can we go like in front of that?
Yeah, there's a tour out there right now.
The crash we heard, and we just kind of landed there.
Have you been taking pictures?
Where did you got anything?
Go out there. Yeah, let me tap that.
Oh, good, they left. They left.
Go left.
They left.
Let's go.
Good Lord, you can't hear.
Come right out here with me.
The coldest spot in the frame is the little blue dot. Are they?
What? We're just gonna have to butt in.
Can't butt in. Oh, that one. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Stop.
I feel like I might have
Stop.
heard water. Like on this side.
I like got the best footage ever, probably. I've been really intent. I don't know what I'm looking for.
You got the footage.
I got the footage. The Powder Magazine. Magazines.
Podcast, you'll be able to hear it for yourself. So,
Podcast?
my podcast. That's actually how all of this got started, yeah. Somebody took me out of my 6-figure job so I can go ghost hunting every day.
What's it called?
So,
What's it called?
Stories in the Cemetery, the same thing as before.
Stories in the Cemetery. Don't forget that.
It'll be at the top of your data page.
Oh, okay. Can't really make them out. She does better than I do, but
it's really because I'm also looking at the points on the base of that.
And also, I'll move to a new location and try to.
You take that one, go walk around. This one. You want this?
Is that the only piece you got in there? Yeah. Any terms come up on yours?
I got this all the way.
Fair enough. All right, let's move it over to the wall, guys. This was kind of light over here. Powder Magazine was a big hit last night, and you guys got more activity over at the Pink Munitions. So again, tonight you never know what you're going to actually get out of that. So let's go through the answers, and then I will start collecting devices while you guys ask me a million more questions, because I know Cindy has some. And then get this night wrap that can't go anywhere. Mugshots. This is one of the few pictures you can find of Anne Bonny with a shirt on. Why? Because we do get teenage boys on this tour. And I don't need angry moms leaving as they part ways. But the reason why most of her shirts are not missing or open is because she used to basically bare her breast to the men she killed to show that they were just killed by a woman. I told you this chick was badass. The name of her parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. None of you were expecting a secondary Mary, because remember Mary Reed, the friend/lover that she met on the ship. So again, none of you were expecting a second Mary. And then I also like to show you Calico Jack, just because he is based off of, he is the person that based the character that we know as Captain Jack Sparrow. This is the real Captain Jack Sparrow, Calico Jack. He's named Calico Jack because remember his real name is John Rackham. He's named that because of the jackets that he wears. He's the British captains that he kept. So again, Calico Jack, so fancy Jack. He was obviously a very interesting character. And the name of his ship was the Kingston. Now, am I expecting Kingston to pop up through anything other than Bergen's device? Nope, but the word king would suffice on any other device. I don't get the answer often, but I keep asking you guys to keep asking the question, and I'll get king probably once every 3 to 4 months. Something will pop up with the word king in it. Again, we're in a democracy, not a monarchy. We're not going to hear the word king a whole lot. So again, it's just very interesting how that actually comes into play. Did anybody ask anything different other than her hair color? Obviously, the answer is red. The reason why I asked Kelly to ask that specifically is because he would get the color on his REM pod to show what color that actually is, and red means that they would actually have to touch the antenna. We did get that response with a direct answer just a few nights ago, so I was pretty excited about that. And then the next night after that, we actually got the word red out of your spirit box. So again, it's a very interesting space. It's either a lot or pretty much nothing. You guys gave me the word water, which is pretty significant here, and the name Stephen, and I'm going to look through the cemetery records. So, oh, we did get president. So, what's interesting about the word president over here is your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is buried on the other side of that wall. We will get terms wrapped around Calhoun, like all relative to his life in the month of March, because he died in March, and he was born in March. So we get a lot of activity around him in March. Again, I kind of switch things up based on those kind of dates, just so you guys know. I do keep track of all that stuff. There are 2 sides to the cemetery, so you guys know, like I was just telling Cindy, the natives to Charleston are buried on the other side. That's why Calhoun is over here. He's not from here. But Charles Pinckney, the husband of Eliza, and Charles Pinckney, the